It's a well-known fact that over the years, COD Zombies has become less and less focused on horror. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think maps like Revelations, Der Eisendrache, Shadows, and Tag Your Toten are not scary in the least, but they're still in my top 10 maps. However, some maps still creep me out even to this day. And no, I don't mean maps like Nacht or Verrückt, that are arguably intended to be outright horror experiences. I'm talking maps that get under your skin. When you're playing with friends, it's all fun and games, but those nights when you play alone, with the only game volume to stimulate your ears, the isolation sets in. These are the maps that get under my skin the most. Starting off with a fairly obvious map, Kino der Toten, the best map of all time. The map everyone has played with the buddies in 2010 can sometimes be scarier than you remember. Seriously, go back and play Black Ops 1 Kino alone. You'll notice the creaking of the floor. You look into the iconic void barrier and hear the banging near the dressing room. You make it to the stage and find the canisters of these homunculus-like creatures that aren't quite zombies, but also are not quite Nova Crawlers. But the most distressing thing about Kino is when you decide to open the alley after the box moves there. And then you see it's broad daylight, but there's still no escape. Nobody walking in the distant street, nothing at all. It makes you wonder why you're all alone, and if the city that's just out of reach is already overrun by the zombies by the time Ultimus arrives. Next up is 5, a map that on the surface seems like the most badass plot for a map yet, having the people like JFK and Castro fighting zombies in the Pentagon, but as you play, the windows break, and the horde floods in by round 5, forcing you to descend to the next level. Admittedly, the war room is pretty badass, but once you take that last elevator, you realize that the government has a secret lab, one that's full of blood, seemingly too much for just one human at that case. As you explore, looking for the power switch, the zombies vanish, and the Pentagon thief is now coming for you. The fear of when he's going to arrive, the knowledge that if he catches you, he takes your gun, leaving you as an easy target for the upcoming horde. But the most unsettling thing about 5 in my eyes is the pig. The pig is suspended by some straps, with its fellow swine dead nearby. As the Exceptional Gamer said in his video, The Horrors of Black Ops 1 Zombies, the pig has no impact on the map. Your only interaction with it is to leave it to starve, or use a bullet to end the creature's poor life. The idea of animals being left alone to starve in an apocalypse scenario has always upset me personally, but this pig, who is left alone in the depths of this lab, just breaks my heart. Personally, I always put it down, but yet I know it didn't never deserve to be here, let alone shot. Some honorable mentions are Mob of the Dead, a map with a truly evil atmosphere with hellish architecture, but the playable characters are just so badass, and the equipment like the Hell's Redeemer and Blundergat make you feel so powerful that the horror slowly fades as the match progresses, although maybe that's intentional, feeling like you're overcoming the horde and becoming more and more powerful. Moon is obviously very isolating, with the lack of noise being unsettling to say the least. But the most brilliant thing about this map is the Spaceman, specifically in the Black Ops 1 version of the map. You see, the Spaceman has a gamer tag above his head. The name itself is random, but there's a chance it'll appear as one of your online friends' usernames. So imagine playing Moon alone and noticing the Spaceman, but it's its name that attracts your eye. It's your friend's name, your friend who hasn't even been online in months, years even. It makes you remember them, and immediately makes you realize that you haven't played or even heard from them in a long, long time. Now for the big one. The map that made me want to make this video in the first place. Die Rise. Die Rise is a map that's mostly hated by the community, and while I tend to enjoy it more than most, I understand its flaws. But one of the things that it does undeniably right is the atmosphere, specifically that of the lowest levels of the skyscraper. When you spawn at the map, you have a choice to go through the normal path headed down the tower level by level, or you can head into the elevator, fall to the ground, and make the jump to the other building. You head into this new tower and are met with cages upon cages, a strange sight to be sure, but you carry on, finding a kitchen and a workbench. The atmosphere and music typically gets to me at this point. The garbage, blood, dirty walls, and a sickening environment makes you feel too lonely. It makes me want to leave as quick as possible, but you can't. Despite being high off the streets of the destroyed Earth, you're as trapped as ever. The stairs from across the workbench lead you to the power room, And in this power room, you're greeted with tables of sewing machines. And then it hits you. It hits you what Die Rise really is. A sweatshop. And that realization makes those cages below you much more sinister. My mind fills in the gaps. And those cages seem to be where the workers slept. Considering the kitchen, these sweatshop workers were most likely forced to eat in cramped cages, fed cheap meals, and possibly never even left the tower. And when you consider the rockets from the moon destroyed the Earth, Invictus is trapped here until they're teleported to Buried, the zombies here are most likely abused workers who are unable to escape the building. This context makes them out far more disturbing to me, and perhaps it's a stretch, but the jumping jacks are never explained. But their small size, paired with the fact that sweatshops are known to have children workers, leaves a horrific implication. After all, we've never seen the effects of Element 115 on children, but that's just my interpretation. Die Rise is a map that manages to make me feel isolated, trapped, and sick into my stomach, whilst in the depths of the tower. While it may not be a good map, its implications, atmosphere, and overall features are overlooked. And I hope Lex's remake keeps that same vibe. What maps get under your skin? Do you agree with my opinions, or am I just a dumb broad? Comment below, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.